Hi everyone. My name is Eyal. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Director of Educational Innovation in Jerusalem Education Authority here in Israel.
Hi, my name is Rivka Greenfield. I'm the Director of IPRA.
So we have 45 minutes. We'll try to talk less than 45 minutes. However, I don't promise anything because we are teachers and we do used to talk quite a lot. We'll talk about how adjusting schools or helping schools to adjust to present times, how we do it in Jerusalem in the context of public education. However, before we jump into it, I have to say a few words about Jerusalem because I think you need to understand the background. Education is always a contextual thing, so you have to understand the background. As you probably all know, Jerusalem is a very complex city with a lot of complexities, political-wise, cultural-wise, social-economical, and so on and so on. Just a few words about it. Demographics in 2018, we had 901,300 residents in Jerusalem. It's the biggest city in Israel. As you can see, the number of students, which is very, very big. Jerusalem is a very, very young city. We do divide it for three sectors: a general sector, ultra-Orthodox sector, and Arab sectors, because the sectors have very big differences between them. And when we talk about educational systems, the values are different, the goals, some of them are the same, but many of them are different, and the views are different about education, and we do cater to all of them. I guess everyone here supports relevant pedagogy, but why change schools, why to do it? I go briefly, because schools doesn't fit anymore. School doesn't fit anymore. The educational system today doesn't fit. It's in 19th century, 20th century system that worked really good. I have to say, it was a great system. School was a great thing. And I think today, as we could see in Corona in Israel, I think in all over the world, we do need schools. However, they need to change because of the reasons I wrote here. There are some other reasons. Part of the change we're doing is when we're looking at these disciplines, but not just. We can see how it works in school, how it works in life, and in order to be able to live at present times, you have to have other skills than you had 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. What we are doing, we're supporting public education to evolve few basic assumptions. We do believe that we cannot do anything without the school teams, educational teams in school. We think that the teams in schools are professionals that need to be heard all the time and need even to say and to determine part of the things that are studied and what is the direction of their specific school. We believe that a good master teacher is a master teacher that knows the best his community. And we think most of the master teachers knows their community really well, better than anyone else. And we do believe that teachers know their classes better than anyone else. And if they don't know their classes better than anyone else, they're not good teachers. But if we are treating them like this, we have to work through them. They are our end users in order to make better education. So our job, our role is to help schools to achieve their pedagogical dreams. However, there is a frame, and the frame that we put is a skills-based pedagogy frame. We work with what the OECD, the 32 competencies and skills that the OECD spoke about. We do on the base, basically when we start working, when we asked principals and master teachers, they spoke about two main skills. One is independent learner or competencies, and the second is collaboration. One problem that we have, that we're talking about new skills, new competencies. However, teachers were taught or studied in the old world, and they been taught how to be teachers in the old world. So part of our job is to help teachers to implement their skills for themselves and for the students. And we do believe that when we're doing it not just inside the 45 minutes of class, but we have to change regularities of schools in order to achieve our goals. So we talk and work how to change the timetable of schools, what the role of teachers, what the role of students, how the evaluation events should look like, what do we achieve in any kind of evaluation events, how what is the role of parents inside schools today in their kids' life. We think that all is going together in order to change the system. When we are working inside schools, the process contains educational teams, students, and parents. And another thing that we're doing is translating things to teacherish. There's plenty of papers about what should be and what are the skills and how important the skills are. And but we find it hard. It's hard to find papers that actually talk about the specific things teachers should do. And we are taking papers. We write some of them ourselves, but we write them in teachers' language in order them to be able to implement it very, very quickly. Another thing that we're doing that's allowing them to fail. Schools, teachers, students doesn't like to fail. We believe that you have to fail in order to succeed. So it's part of our job. We always tell the schools that if you're doing something new and you never failed in the way, so you didn't do it very well, or you didn't do it far enough. I never saw a school or a teacher that tried a new thing, a radical new thing, and succeed immediately. As I said before, we believe that each school should be different according to his community, and so we cannot offer a general programs. Each school in Jerusalem in our programs has a mentor, which is organizational consultant or pedagogical consultant that works with the school, with the master teacher, with the leading team of the school, and with the educational team of the schools, a day in 2 weeks. And he knows school very, very well. He's not just consulting, he's actually working inside the school with the team. And we do believe that if we're doing all of it, so we have to redesign the spaces of the schools and the furniture and the furnitures of the schools in order them to fit the new pedagogies that schools talk about. That's what I talked before about. You know, I will say something, because in Israel, and I know in the United States, because we've been there last year, as Rahel said, and from my colleagues here that been with me, and we talked a lot about it. There is a lot of people over the world talk about how bad is education in their country, how bad the teachers are. I think most of the teachers are really, really good teachers that do what they trained to do. There are some percentage that are really, really bad, but most of the teachers are really, really good. And they're doing old pedagogy very, very good. But in order to do new pedagogy good, they have to do it bad at the beginning. So this is part of the process that we are talking with our schools. We do work mostly with schools and not just with individual teachers. We believe that in order to change schools, you have to work with the team itself, with all the school, not just with one person here and one in other place. Last thing before we jump to IPCHA, this is my network, how it works. I have few unit centers like IPCHA. Some of them are built inside neighborhoods. One of them is for citywide, and they work independently and together. All the R&D that we are doing with our people. We don't bring people from the outside, because we think that when we are developing things and we're researching things, we want the people that develop the things will be the people that will see if it's fail or succeed, and we will feel it, the failure and the success of it. We are mentoring schools all over Jerusalem. We're doing the R&D. We are doing language unification for all of Jerusalem, and we're doing networking between teachers, between master teachers, between people in Jerusalem and outside of Jerusalem. The only thing that is outside of my unit, but we're using it, is evaluation and measurement. I do believe that when you evaluate things and when you measure things, it's better for you to take people from the outside to do it, because they will be more cold and more precise from you. So after we talked about it, let's talk about IPCHA. IPCHA is Center for Education and Innovation in Pisgat Ze'ev. Pisgat Ze'ev is a 45,000 neighborhood inhabitants has it inside. It's one of the biggest neighborhood in Israel. It's an isolated area in the outskirts of Jerusalem. We have 10 primary schools and 3 secondaries. Population in this neighborhood specifically grows older, not just like you say in the rest of Jerusalem. It's not the most desired neighborhood. People come to live not because it's not the first choice, I have to say. Strong families will send their kids outside of the neighborhood to study. That's what happened 3-4 years ago. It's a very traditional, very conservative neighborhood. And 3.5-4 years ago, there was one school that was closed here because of what I said now. And in order to make education here better, to help schools to evolve, the municipality decided to open IPCHA as a Center for Educational Innovation. So the center is a public institute. It's really, really important. It's designed for educators. There are a lot of kids here, but kids always come here with their teachers. We do not replace teachers. We're here to help teachers to evolve, to help schools to evolve. We even not just work with teachers. We work with teachers as part of teams inside schools, and we help teachers and educational team to establish new thinking about pedagogy, about their way of teaching, about why are they teaching, what their role, what their students' role. And we do it in IPCHA specifically via fabrication projects. We mainly work in primary and junior high schools. The problem with the high school itself is the Bagrut exams, the final exams. So they're less keen to change things without they see how it affects the Bagrut exams. I think this year, the last 2 years, things can start changing. So we worked 3 years, and then along came the Corona. And as education innovation system, we had to think not from scratch, but we had to rethink about our goals. So what we did with schools and with ourselves, we thought about our aims in IPCHA, what is our role in the Corona time. We had to strengthen the techno-pedagogy skills of teachers. We did it before, because of it was easier for schools to do the shift. However, not all of the teachers, not even 60% of the teachers were skilled enough in techno-pedagogy skills, so we had to give this service to them. We worked on SEL before. In Corona times, it was harder because, hey, we don't see the kids. Kids were at home. If you don't know, in Israel, we had 3 lockdowns until now. Okay, so the first one was in April. Second, the 2 other was this year. One thing that we really worked hard for is to convince teachers that they don't have to talk in order to teach, specifically or in front of screens, how they balance synchronized and unsynchronized studies. We help the master teachers to find their way, and I want to show you something about it, if it will just work. למה זה לא עובד לי? Okay, just a second. Okay. רגע. So do you see inventing the cloud-based school? Or do you see the presentation? Someone?
We can see it. It's okay.
Okay. So what we did in the first lockdown, we said it's not enough to change how courses looks like. What we need to change is to build a school from scratch that will fit the situation. So we built a kit for schools. It has to be very, very clear for schools what we're doing. It has to be very fast to implement. It has to be very, with examples. It has to be very fast to modify it. And we build a process for school to invent themselves from home. So we took few cardinal goals from the Ministry of Education and from teachers and master teachers. We took 5 or 6 main goals, and we said, okay, when you teach at home, let's try to teach only or to achieve only 2 main goals. After you're doing this, we'll talk about the aspects of these goals, how schools should look like. You know what? I'll just show you the things here. We just built questions that most of the teachers never read, but master teachers hopefully read. We built a workshop, which was an online workshop that each school can do for itself. We wrote a lot of questions about partners, about engaging all students, about how do you organize the time, schedule, what the role of the teams, how you evaluate, you do a real evaluation, and so on and so on. And then we build a questionnaire for schools. We build specific lesson plans for specific times with specific tools, and each lesson plan support some of the models, and then we build models for them according to the goals. So we had a few models. You can see it, how we build it here. We have the main objectives, how we shall teach, what are pedagogical principles, how do we do evaluation, how to organize your staff, and we build timetables for teachers and for students. And we did all of it, and then schools that just should choose what is good for them. So that's what we did at the first lockdown. It worked really well. And from this experience, we continue and build another things for all of Jerusalem. And today we are working with about 140 schools we worked from last year. And this year, we are now working with another 200 and 250 schools about how to change themselves. It started there. It's continuing in very different scale. But today we're talking about what we did in Corona. So this is what we did in IPCHA, in Pisgat Ze'ev neighborhood in the Corona. Those models really worked inside Israel. Schools took them. We had hundreds of schools that used them just because we put it on the internet. And now we'll go to the more interesting part, which is what Rivka is doing with them from the end of the first lockdown until now.
Okay, thank you, Eyal. I would like just to say that a part of the change during the pandemic, we also had to change our module of work, and we basically at IPCHA school body as a whole system made up of parts that all come together, and we help headmasters and the teams to hold all of their goals together and to see how they implement the change and what they need to do in order to be relevant and stay relevant for their students. So when I say stay relevant for their students, that basically means that here in IPCHA, we take very, very seriously the necessity of being familiar with methods of teaching and experiencing and dealing with the different things that teachers needed to deal with in distant learning and et cetera, and all the other things. So we also needed to change our module, and we found that we have 4 levels of influence that we work with towards these changes, these big changes that had to be taken into consideration. So the first level of influence is basically our like Eyal said before, Jerusalem has mentors working with the headmasters, and here in IPCHA we have educational and organizational consultants working with the headmasters and the principals to achieve their main goals. The second level of influence are our pedagogical consultants working with the teachers and the master teachers to implement those goals. On a weekly basis, our pedagogical consultants meet the teachers at school or in IPCHA, and together they lay out the framework in order to see how they can achieve those goals and implement them daily with the students. The third level of influence are our instructors of skill-based learning who work with the teachers and the students also on a weekly basis via fabrication projects in IPCHA at schools, and using our hybrid module. We also taught the students when they were at home. Our instructors, together with the teachers, taught the students at home. And the fourth level of influence, in my eyes, is the most important level, is the joint pedagogy development, where teachers, instructors, and pedagogical consultants work together and find what their lesson layouts are going to be on a daily basis. So here we developed a pedagogical tool, and you can see in the center the teacher. This basically is a tool that that the teachers and the pedagogical consultant and the instructors use together. And you can see that in the middle, they decide on a certain project that they want to teach. And the teacher will always bring their content into the tool. Here we have an example. If a teacher wants to teach a literary genre and she wants to implement learning skills, and she wants to show her teaching skills, so together with our instructor, they will design how it's done, and they will lay out the weeks and decide who does what, and where the students come in and where the teachers she takes over. And this is all done together, and it's a very, very interesting process. And we see that teachers can take this back to school and do it by themselves with their teammates, and the children can take this tool and also think of new ways to teach their friends even. So this is one of the tools that we use in order to implement this skill-based learning. Another interesting thing that happened during the pandemic, we understood that we have to stay relevant for the teams and teach also at home, also at school, and also at IPRA. And our module is very, very flexible and is adjusted to any work outline depending on the change of this and the current situation at any given time. In order to do this, we used personal kits for students, and we gave the teachers and the students the feeling of continuancy. So students came to their teachers, they received the kit, and they were able to have this, the kits were basically a role play as a transitional object, and it gave them a lot of, a sense of security when they had to go through the change. And we saw that this was very, very successful, and we took it for a few courses. We have here an example. Just a minute. We have here an example of a sewing kit that we used in these 3 different opportunities. And you can see here on the table in the main picture at school the content of the kit. And this is something that we put together here in IPRA. All of the workers got together one day, and we just packed up all of the kits, and it was a very nice experience for all of us and also for the children. We have other kits based on photography skills and also outdoor learning skills, and these are things that the children really, really enjoy. I want to speak a little bit about the importance of experience, the experience learning, also for the teachers and also for the students. Our method is based on PBL, open PBL projects at any given challenge, and it is made up of 5 different stages. You can see here the pre-stage where educators or teachers and our workers work together and plan the different stages. Stage 1 would be meeting the class in a class setting, and where the students can research the challenge or decide on the strategy in which they want to work. Stage 2 will be dividing the students into teams, and they can choose any makers. This is all taking place here in IPRA, and they can choose any makerspace they want to learn and any skills they want to achieve. They learn in workshops, and they work on their solutions together as teams. The 3rd stage would be back in a classroom setting, and where the students can basically show their friends in presentations and take part in reflection settings. The most important stage of this whole experience learning, also for the teachers and also for the students, is the post back at school, where teachers together with our pedagogical instructors can talk about what they learned and how they can implement this experience that they had here in IPRA back at school. So this is basically the main learning experience for teachers, and that's the opportunity where they can ask the very, very hard questions are on, okay, so how can we bring what we studied in IPRA back to school, and how can we divide the teams in a way where they can all learn together, or they can use different kinds of pedagogy ideas, and try to lay back on the old ways of teaching and just lecturing for 45 minutes. We can go on. Here's an example of our spaces here in IPRA, which fill out a role in staying flexible. The function is very, very flexible. Sometimes our spaces change their function to fit the project. You can see here teams working together, and with different kinds of uses, and you can see them on the table, under the table, working together as a team, working alone. This is all very, very flexible. One of the main goals that we have here in IPRA is giving teachers the opportunity to practice their new skills. Like Eyal said before, In order to be a good teacher in new pedagogy, you have to go through a bad period at the first session and at the beginning, basically, and you need to practice. These things, we have to understand the teachers need to learn their new role as educators, and they basically need to pick up new teaching skills. I think that one of the most important skills is to be a guide, and to forget about lecturing for 45 minutes or maybe even more for an hour and a half in front of kids who basically just fall asleep in the middle of class. And it's not very easy to be a guide. These are things that they have to learn by themselves. The second thing is to be a consultant. We don't hold all of the knowledge, and we need to understand, the teachers need to understand that they don't hold all of the knowledge and that their students sometimes even are better at things than the teachers, mainly when we're talking about technology skills. We see that after the pandemic, kids were really skyrocketing in their technology skills, and teachers needed to see how they catch up. So they need to understand that they can also be just a consultant and not only hold all the knowledge. And I think that the last thing that is very, very important, could you go back one? Teachers need to understand that they hold a very important role in being social leaders. In order to give personal examples and in order to teach what they want to teach, they have to do it themselves. They can't only say what needs to be done, they need to do what needs to be done. We can see here on the last page here that constraints can sometimes bring results. And this is one of the things that we learned during the pandemic, that schools brought their own ideas, and the pandemic made them or restricted them to certain ways. Like Eyal said before, they had to decide on specific goals, and they had to be very, very narrowed in order to achieve their goals. And this is something that I think helped the schools to find their way or their new way. I think that the pandemic had a lot to do with that. So we helped the teachers and we helped the headmasters to be narrowed in to those goals and to see how they can make the best of what happened here in the pandemic. So this is basically what we do. And if you have questions, we would be happy to answer.
So I'll take down the.
Yes, please. Perhaps you can check the chat. There are already some questions for you.
Yes, just a second. Okay. So, how is it organized? Teachers actually are given the time to develop these new approaches. Here, CH is?
Switzerland.
CH Switzerland. Okay, I feel that many teachers are motivated to tackle new issues, but are lacking the time. Well, are lacking the time together to do so. We have the same problem. I have to say, we didn't solve it till the end. I tried, Rivka tried many things. I even tried to pay teachers for planning, for their time for planning. It didn't really work well. However, the last year and so, most teachers understand the importance of teachers learning and teachers planning, and they give time besides school times, even from time to time on their classes, on time they need to be on classes. We do work in holidays, and we're trying to do it very, very well. For example, we're taking them to hotels, or we're doing a very beautiful events, working events. And this is one of the things that we do believe in. We do not treat teacher as part of the industrial system. We do treat them as educational managers, and in order to treat them like this, in order for them to feel like this, we have to treat them like we treat high-tech people and stuff like this. And this is part of what we're doing. And they really like to come and to work and to have different environment. They really appreciate it. So it works. It doesn't work perfectly. We're not even close to it. Hopefully next year, one of the things that we are trying to promote now, not us, but in Jerusalem, and I think in other places in Israel, is one day that kids will actually learn will study from home, and teachers will have time at schools to sit, to work together. And I say another thing, when we work on teams of 3 teachers, there's always time for people to plan, but it's not.
I'd like to add to what you're saying, and a part of our role here in IPCHA is to solve the problem of time, because we know that teachers teaching, they have 8 hours or 5 hours that they need to be with their students, and then they have to check the exams, and they need to speak to parents, and they don't really have time to develop. So here in IPCHA, we help them develop, and we also develop the pedagogical tools so to make it easier for them. So we take them hand in hand, and we develop together with them. We develop the tools, and we give it to them as a present. And when they receive it and they see how it can be successful with their students, when we go and when we work with them hand in hand, so they are more motivated to take it and to implement it by themselves. It's basically an ongoing thing that we've been doing, as Eyal showed us before, the modules that we wrote in the pandemic in April, last April. That's basically the beginning of it, because we actually wrote specific layouts of lessons so that teachers could just take them and use them. And that's a part of what we do here.
Okay, which are the requirements to become an instructor or an expert in IPCHA?
You have to be a unicorn.
Wow, it's really hard to find people that can work here. Instructor is easier. We look for designers, carpenters, artists, but they need to love people, which is a part of a problem from time to time. Now, people, when we talk about instructors, we need people that knows their technology, and they know how to work with kids, and they know how to work with teachers, and they know what they don't know.
And they're also flexible.
Yes, and they're flexible, and they know that usually they don't know pedagogy, and it's part of it, and they have to learn it, but they will never master it through the works. It's really complicated. There's a lot of discussions about it at the team. Mentors mainly are pedagogical experts that worked in school. We have just one mentor that didn't work at school before, but she worked in higher education. They should be masters in innovational pedagogy, and it's hard to find as well, but it is possible. And no, sorry, that was experts. The things in English are, they were experts. Mentors are people that are organizational consultants or pedagogical consultants that worked before with municipalities, with schools. Some of them being master teachers, some of them not, but they all worked in the educational field in Israel. They all our experience on with mentoring schools through a change, and they all have the ability to work together with other mentors. We have a few groups of mentors. Each group works together. Each group of mentors has its own mentor, and they are inside schools, and they are our eyes and ears inside the schools. They know best, like the math teacher, what happened in the school, and they know what to ask from us, from the authority, what to ask in order for us to help the schools to evolve.
I think I can add, Eyal, and say that I think that the most important thing to have as a requirement to work here is the ability to work in collaboration with each other inside IPRA, outside IPRA, with the teachers, with the headmasters, and with other instructors and experts. This is one thing. And the other thing, I think, is being able to maintain reflective processes along the way, and to be able to say when we're wrong and when we need to change and when we need to be on top of things and do different things, and not to fall in love with our work, and to know how to let things go and to rebuild them again. This is basically, I think, the most important.
The question that I waited for. You talked about many different mentors, instructors, and experts that work with the teachers to implement your model. For this support to be meaningful, I imagine that you need a lot of personnel. Where do you get the people and money from to do that? So all the money is municipal money. That's not many people. I would say with the mentors, most of them are freelancers. They're not they don't work just for us. With the mentors and with the centers, with all the workers, for about 400 and something schools. We have more in Jerusalem, but what we're working with, I have about 48, 50 people, all of them together. The budget is yeah, it's not very small, but it's not very big. The thing is that mentor never mentor just one school. Mentor usually 6 schools. Experts work with 4, 5 schools. Instructors work with everyone that goes inside. In IPRA, for example, for all the 12 schools, Rivka has today 3 or 4 experts. 4 experts, 2 4 instructors, 2 experts, and 5 mentors. Okay, that's those are the numbers. And the mentors don't work just for Rivka, they work in other units as well. So yeah, it's not cheap, but if you really want, I would say it like this: if we really want to change the system, if we really want to stand behind what we say, that each school is unique, you have to do this. You have to find the way to get into each school and to give the support that each school needs. And this costs money. In Jerusalem, we do believe in education. It's just it's not just a slogan, and we show it. You can ask math teachers in Jerusalem. At the beginning, they didn't understand what we're doing. Now, I would say another thing. At the beginning, some of them rejected the mentors. They didn't want mentors. After half year, when we did it this year, we invented a new report card. And now all the principals wants it. It worked. How many times do the teachers come to you with their classes? Rivka.
Okay, so we have basically we have two options. We have one option that teachers can come for a whole week, but for 1 week during the year. And we have another option where teachers can come with their classrooms 1 day every week for the whole semester. So it depends on what the goals are and what they want to achieve. We know now that it's better, the second option for 1 week for the whole semester every week is a better option because it takes time till they learn, until things are implemented, and they can take it back to school.
But bear in mind that they meet us, our experts and our mentors inside the schools all the time. So it's not just if you're coming to IPCHA or not coming to IPCHA. How do you work with the principals? It depends on the principals. Each principal is different. We do work according to their needs. I would say we don't have 100% success. We have some big fails as well. But most of the principals like to work with us, wants to work with us. We do work with a lot of sincerity. I would say we say what is good, what's not good, what they tell us what we need to change, what we're doing good, what we're doing not good, and we work together. We're actually a team. It's not that we are coming above them or they're coming above us. Our job is to help them to be better. And for that, I have to say things. What happens in IPCHA doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is what happens at the schools eventually. IPCHA can do great things inside it, and the students can go outside, loving the place, want to come here every day. If teachers won't change the way that they are teaching, if schools won't change his pedagogical aims, so we failed. We didn't do our job as we need, and that's what we're checking. We're checking what happens inside the school, where school was at the beginning and where it is now. And we even change, we take every school on its own change and not just like a standard way. Wow, a lot of questions. Where is it now? Eyal, you're doing great. Oh, thank you, Hanjirmek. Which sources you are using for achieving your goals, or this is all from own experience? What about education, 21st century disciplines in schools? How you work in multicultural environment? Wow. Okay, so we do work with models all over the world. We are taking them, we read them, we are translating to Hebrew and then to Israeli and then to a specific school. We do develop our own things. The thing of multicultural environment is very complex here because it's not just multicultural environment. There are political problems, especially in Jerusalem. We do work Arabs and Jews together in the unit in Beta, which is the unit of it's all the city. The events are in Hebrew and Arabic together, but we do. Again, we are doing what the school needs. If it's Arab school or ultra-Orthodox school or a secular school or an Orthodox school, we won't count the same for each school. We will do different things. We'll talk even in different language when we come into schools, and we'll try to tackle their goals. About some of them, higher education is the most important thing. Some of them, independent learning is the most important thing. we'll work through it. And as it says, teachers cannot be replaced by comps, but those teachers who do not familiar with technology can be replaced. What do you think about this phrase? I would say two things about it. I think before Corona, there were some misunderstandings about what is innovational pedagogy or pedagogical innovation. One of them is that innovation equal to technology. And for myself, I'm an early adopter. Any gadget that goes outside, I'm buying it and trying it and everything. However, I would say that to use, you have to know why use technology. We saw it in Corona times. Teachers tried to use the screens for lectures, failed. Most of the time they failed. Technology is not a tool to concentrate a kid. So a teacher that don't know how to control class when he lectures, I think he will never be able to control class in computers or other stuff. You need to use technology wisely and in the right places. I do agree that each teacher need to know how to use technology. However, in order to know how to use technology, he need to know what he wants to achieve and then to choose the right technology. So even if I'm a master in webinars, I'm not, just for example, and I know how to do the best presentations in the world. It doesn't make me a better teacher. It just makes me a better lecturer. And it's not the same. So yes, teachers need to know technology. When we're talking about ignorance today, it's not just not know how to read and write. I think technology is part of it. This year proved it to us. But it's not about how to use technology at the technical level. It's how to use technology at the pedagogical level. And we're not there yet. We're just beginning.
Can I add to this, Eyal? I think there's another whole idea that we need to think about when using technology. And I don't think that the phrase is right. I don't think that teachers can be replaced at all, because we've seen the effects of COVID and the pandemic on our students and on our teachers, and the effects on their social emotional situation was so deep. And we understand that technology cannot be replaced. Teachers cannot be replaced by technology when we're talking about social emotional status. And this is something that I don't think anybody can, no technology can replace a real live person talking face to face with children and children face to face one with each other. I think this is very, very important, and I don't think it can be replaced at all. So taking technology and putting it aside, I think there are some other things that are very, very important when we're talking about educators' role in schools and for the students.
So do you see a chance that the schools can dissolve the regular timetable so they don't have to work in lessons? Well, it happens now in Israel, in Jerusalem. So yes, and not just in Jerusalem, and not all of the schools. Yes, schools change how they work. It's really hard. They never wanted really, or they, even if they wanted to do this, the ministry didn't really like it. And when the ministry liked it, they said, okay, they really were afraid to do this. But this year in Israel, an average principal built something like 25, 30 different timetables through the year because they change all the time. I don't know if I said at the beginning, this week is the first week in Israel that all the students are in school. Until this week, there was none, 0 times from 1st September the 1st until now, that all the students in Israel have been in the schools, and they changed the plan every week. Usually the principals got the information what happened on Sunday on Saturday night, so they had to sit and write timetables. They're not afraid anymore. They do not afraid anymore, and now they are changing things. I would say one of the things that I'm concerned about is in about 3-4 weeks, when everything will go normal. In Israel, most of the people are already had the vaccine, so yes, we are okay, and we probably will start vaccinating kids from the age of 12 to 15 in about a month or something like this. So Israel is in a good place about Corona. I would say what really worries me that there will be a lot of schools that will continue to evolve and develop, but there will be schools that will go back and will be like a regular school, like a year and a half ago. Usually, I think I would say that medium-low socioeconomical wise schools will go back, and we are really fighting for it not to happen. That all the schools will develop and will not go back to be this, I don't know, archaeological thing that had been before the COVID. Which discipline do you think today is the most?
Maybe we should talk about the distributed learning.
Yes.
How they needed to change their timetables in order to be a part of.
Okay.
So.
תגיד אז משהו.
No? Okay, never mind. We'll go on to the next question.
Which discipline do you think today the most important in schools can be helpful for next generation? I have no idea. I really have no idea. I don't think there's one discipline. I don't think we should teach or learn through disciplines. I think we should learn and teach through areas of knowledge. I do think there are some basics that everyone needs to know. I can say that the most, I think, common things. I think language, English is very, very important. I think any kid should know English better than mine. That's for sure. I think any kid should know basics of mathematics, of statistics, of economy. We don't have it in Israel now. We probably will have it. I think any kid need to know where he lives, what the values of his community. Need to know history. Now you can take it and think about the disciplines that I just talked about. Think that plenty of disciplines.
I would add on also problem solving.
Problem solving. What about computer science? I think that if we can talk about computational thinking or about basics of computer, that's fine. I don't think that computer science is for all. I do think that basic coding is a thing that we need to teach, but I can consult with you. I can show you timetables and what schools need to teach, and you tell me where to put a computer science. I would say that at the moment we mainly work with schools about what I said as skills-based pedagogy and what to eliminate from what they're teaching, not to amend things. after they eliminate, after they will do good lifelong learner, independent learner, stuff like this, we can go further. There will be a few steps. Okay. Rahel, what's your vision for IPCHA? Would you like Rivka or me to answer this question?
First, Rivka.
Well, I would say maybe the first day I came to IPCHA and met Eyal as my boss, and he interviewed me. So he said that the future goal of IPCHA is not to be relevant anymore. So I would say that if schools implement all the changes and achieve their main goals and do the work that they need to do and that we want them to do, so IPCHA would be irrelevant. I think that would be the main goal. So school is basically the main goal here and not IPCHA. That's what I would like to see.
I would say I would love to close IPCHA and all the centers and all the programs, because it says that schools are learning organizations that can work without us. Unfortunately, it won't happen in the next 2 or 3 years, I think. So yeah. So you have a question, I think, for you. You have a very large and diverse portfolio in the IPCHA. I'm impressed. How big is your team? How are you organized? What kind of expertise do you have altogether?
Well, that's a very good question. I think we answered part of it before. The team is mainly, we are 11. We are only 11. We are 5 mentors, 2 pedagogical instructors, and 4 skill-based instructors. So that, how much is that? About something about that. And how is it organized? So we spoke about it a little bit before. The instructors work with the students and the teachers, and the pedagogical instructors work with the educational teams in schools and in IPCHA, and they work together on developing the projects, and that's about it. And the mentors work with the headmasters and the principals.
The mentors, they're not איך אומרים מסתמנה? In full position. They're in part position.
Who has got another question? Please just feel free also to unmute yourself.
So,
perhaps you can say some words about translating to teacherish. What do you mean exactly?
okay. As a teacher, I heard so many professors and experts in education and read so many papers that were written by people that haven't been in schools in the last 20 years. And they all came to tell me how it should be done, how we should teach, how school should look like. It was all very interesting, not all very relevant, but all very interesting. And I would say that even if it was relevant, the papers themselves were never written for me as a teacher. So in order to do something with it, I had to take it to understand what the hell they want from me, then to understand how I translate it to lesson plans, to pedagogical aims, to regularities inside schools. And then I can start work with it, or trying to work with it, because it was never very specific thing that it can work. So we had to invent it ourselves as teams in my school when I worked as a teacher. That takes time. Most of the teachers will never do this, not because they don't want. They don't have the time for it. And they're actually gambling, because if I'm taking something that looks, or it looks very nice on paper, but I put efforts inside of it to plan it. It takes time, and then I'm taking it to class. It can work or don't, or doesn't work, work or not work. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. If we are saying that we are here for teachers, we need to bring it for ready for the teachers. We have to give them examples. We have to do it in the maximum clarity that we can take, and then they can change it. Then they can work. Then they can work with it. I'll give you the last example, the best example that I can do now. I can give now. A few months ago, came master teachers and principals to us and told us that what are they doing with the report card of the semester, because students haven't been in schools. Bear in mind that Corona, it's really nice, but we have a process with schools about innovation. So we said, okay, we need to give them a solution, but we'll connect it to what we're doing with skills-based pedagogy. And we went to what British Columbia did with skills-based pedagogy, and what Australia did in skills-based pedagogy, just because we thought they are the best for us, and what they are doing in this field. We translated it, as I said, to Hebrew, to Israeli, to Jerusalemish, to then to age, according to the age, and we build a new card, which is not a report card. That's that's a progress card, and we build it without numbers. But what we did, we took each one of the skills that we talked about. We put like mini skills in each skill, and we build for it the right התנהגות, the right action, which is for the beginner in this skill and the expert of this skill. What does the student, the right behavior? So if a student is behaving one way, he is a beginner in this mini sub skill. If he's behaving in another way, he's an expert. It was not very accurate, but it gives teacher something to work with, a map that they can work with first time, not just talking about a lifelong learner, independent learner. They can now say, okay, he's behaving like this at this point, or he's acting or doing things like this. It means that he is in this section and he needs to go to this section. We can help other kids. So it gives them clarity about how it works. And we thought it would work in 20 schools. It worked in 80 schools. And they all now, with the 100 something, continue with us to the second semester and work differently this semester in order to achieve their aims and goals according to what we do. I'm not coming to take time from teachers. If it doesn't help them, I won't do it. That's, I think, the best. So we are working today together with the ministry. We started without, now we are working together. The ministry uses our mentors in order to teach and in order to implement new things in schools. So it's a real success for us. It was never like this before. So we are very, very happy. I would say even I would say even another thing. The state invented a program, a software for principals. We programmed another software as well, ours better. And in Jerusalem, we are using, we start to use our program with the ministry. Program that helps principals and master teachers to plan their programs and to get funds or resources from us. It works together.
Some of our pedagogical instructors are also, they also take place in advanced studies for teachers, and they work with teachers throughout the year. So this is also something that is recognized by the ministry.
So what is the importance of education in Israel? Do you know what percentage of the national budget is spent on education? I don't know the exact percentage. I would say it's the first or the second budget in Israel. I don't remember if we are the first and defense budget is second or otherwise. There's a lot. Education in Israel is very, very important. I'm not sure that we're doing it correctly. I'm not sure that we're investing our money correctly. But hey, that's the problem with ministries all over the world, I think. Does the government provide PDT, what PDT? Professional development, okay, for teachers, as we have after to yes. Yes, there's professional development. Each teacher has to do it every year. Now we are doing part of the professional development. We recognized by the state. We're doing it with the state. What are you really proud of concerning your work? I say what I am proud of. I would speak about Pisgat Ze'ev, that when we started IPCHA, it was the most conservative neighborhood schools in Jerusalem. I cannot say that every school today is excellent and good and doing best things. I would say that significant amount of schools here really made a change, including changing the role of teachers, including changing timetables, including changing the pedagogical aims. And I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of an accelerator that we did in the summer. Most of the schools that came just to get furnitures and went out, and they didn't get the furniture yet. They just started getting them next week, and they went out from the accelerator with programs how to change schools. Some of them did it, some of them not yet. Some of them are doing it now. Yeah, that's what I'm proud of. What are you proud of?
First of all, I think it's a beautiful question. It is. It's a very nice question, but I think I'm proud of being a part of all of this. And after being a teacher in school and standing in front of students all day, to be a part of something that has a wide range and a big change, and people who come to study it from IPCHA and Jerusalem in large. So just being a part of all of that, I think that's something to be proud of. And we see the change happen before our eyes, and also the very strong bond that we have with principals and educators in Pisgat Ze'ev, and we've become friends, and we are part of their events, and they take place here. We go to their schools, and I think that's most of the things that I can say about what we're proud of. I think that's basically the strong bond and being part of it all.
Thank you. We've got time for 2 more questions, something like that. Oh, Shakika has one.
What are some challenges that you face working in IPRA? Well, at the beginning, they didn't believe us. They said, okay, you're just another program that come to here and you will leave us very soon. And then they said, okay, so we can come, the teacher said, okay, we can come here, sit aside and let the experts, the experts teach. And then they said, okay, it really works in IPRA, but it will never work in school. Some of the challenge that we had, I would say the teacher said, okay, it takes a lot of our time, as someone asked before. It takes a lot of our time. That this is one thing that they said to us. The another thing is, I'm feeling like I'm in my first year as a teacher. It's insecurity of teachers. That's another thing that we had to tackle. I would say that at the beginning and even a bit later is the work with the ministry, because we don't always see eye to eye. These days more than it was before, but still, we are more the wild. I would say it like this: the ministry offers us, offer the municipality to take IPRA as part of it, to be partner. And they said what are the constraints that we need to work through them. So my boss said, okay, it's really nice that you want to give to put budget inside, but we prefer that IPRA will be free and without those constraints. So we stayed independent. We are the wild boy of the wild kid in the neighborhood, less than it was before, but still. We can do things. It's not always, it doesn't always work with the exact aims of the ministry. Let's say it like this. And I would say the most important thing, eventually, it's not our successes. It's the principal successes. So we cannot do anything without teams, without the math teachers and principals. It just doesn't work. So it's a bit frustrating sometimes, and sometimes we're very, very proud of them.
I would also add that it's also a work in progress all the time. We're always learning. So this is also one of the challenges, that we're never 100% on being, exact. We're always in a learning progress.
Okay, what is the main issue the teachers claim in? Okay, payment is one. How parents see them is another. How much they need to work is third. I think teachers complains about the same thing all over the world. It doesn't really change. Yeah.
So one last question. Who wants to pose it?
We can finish now. Send them home a few minutes before.
Yes, give them some seconds to think about it. Perhaps someone wants to ask something. You can also unmute yourself. Oh, okay, Melanie.
Okay, that's a really good question, and I don't have one answer for it. I would say that we are working very, very tight with the parents board of Pisgat Ze'ev. It help us a lot inside schools. The יושב ראש, the chairperson of the board of Jerusalem lives in this neighborhood, and is number 2 in the board of parents of Israel, and we are working with him from the beginning. I would say more than this. When it was decided to close the school and to open IPCHA, there was a big discussion. I wasn't there yet. There was a big discussion between the authority, the master teachers here, the parents here, the Ministry of Education, and the community center. They all together decided what to do. And when we opened, the parents were here for us. I wouldn't say that we are working in any school hand-to-hand with parents. It's complicated, but we do work with parents every year. And some of the schools we are going inside and talking to them, if it's through our experts, if it's through our mentors, if it's us. They have events here. We have courses afternoon. So they're coming here to see. They have questions. It's not the thing that we're doing the best. It is an important thing that we are doing. I think it's very, very important to understand that when we started here, we weren't, they thought it's nonsense. What kids need to do is to sit, shut their mouths and like hear the teachers. And we brought something else. And it took time for parents to understand that what we are doing is adding values to their kids. I think most of them, they think like this. I won't say that all of them, but they want IPCHA. I'd say more than this. At the beginning, some master teachers didn't want to come inside the center, and they don't have to. It's their choice. Parents, the parents board in their schools told them that it's not acceptable, and they have to go inside IPCHA, and that's what happened. That's it.